Okay, welcome back. If you're watching this video, you should have already watched part A of the worship planning step-by-step guide. We're going to talk about part B in this video, which is the guiding principles and tips for effectiveness. And this is going to reiterate some of the things that the previous video said, but also kind of elaborate on some of those principles. Principle number one theme is greater than many ideas. We talked about this. We don't want to exposit the passage. We don't want to outline a text and then plan around that outline. We want to find one theme that fuels our worship set. Clarity fuels participation. If we can keep the theme clear, that will help people to stay engaged, which helps them to continue to participate in our worship time. Secondly, complement, don't exposit. I just said that. Our worship set is supposed to support the sermon rather than preach the passage. So find that one theme and think about how this worship set or this worship theme will complement what is being preached. Thirdly, know your people. You want to choose singable keys and ranges and songs that our church can own. There are going to be some songs that we listen to from time to time that we personally like, but when we think about our congregation, it's not going to be super helpful for them. And so when we think about introducing new songs, we want to be very thoughtful about that as well. Does this new song sing well? Does it have a lot of words that go by very fast? Does it have theology that fits with our church? There are all kinds of things that we want to consider, but knowing our people is critical in that process. And finally, knowing the victories and the heartaches that are happening in the congregation right now is key to thinking through a worship set, praying through how that set is going to come together. When you're praying, have those people in mind that you know who are a part of our church or that you've heard us pray for in a Sunday morning gathering, and plan sets that will speak to those people's needs, that will speak to those people's hearts. Next, balance familiar and new. You want to introduce fresh songs thoughtfully while anchoring worship with familiar ones. If you have too much that's unfamiliar in a worship set, people are going to check out and they're not going to sing, and they'll long to sing something that they know. Now, when we do introduce new songs, here's a helpful rhythm that we've found. Week 1, we'll use a new song as a prelude. Week 2, we'll place it in the main set right after week 1. And then we'll come back around about 3 weeks later in week 5 and repeat that new song again in the set. And by that time, we should get a picture, we should get a feel for whether our congregation is embracing that song or whether they're just sort of like tolerating that song. We want to measure those things as we introduce these new songs to determine whether they get added to our regular repertoire of songs that we're singing. That little rhythm helps our congregation to learn songs without becoming overwhelmed. And as a rule of thumb, we don't want to have more than one new song per set. As a matter of fact, I would say that we don't want to have too many very new songs. There might be some new songs that are part of our repertoire that we've added, but if we add some of those more recent songs all in one set, that could also detract from people being able to engage in the singing. Okay? Next, use hymns. If there is a hymn that fits really well into the worship theme, use it. Our church loves to sing hymns. And we love for them to sing hymns because we want people to be able to connect to the heritage of our faith. We want people to understand that we're standing on the shoulders of people who've gone before us. We're not the first people to ever think about or plan worship. Hymns connect us to our heritage as a church. What I would say is there are certain hymns that are going to work better with a contemporary worship band than others. And we've chosen a lot of those hymns that are on our top 40 list, and we would encourage you to stick to those hymns that we've chosen. And that will work best for our congregation. Next, avoid shoehorning. We said this a little bit in the last video, but we don't want to force songs into our set that aren't very familiar, but they match the theme so well. Maybe if we do that, we could sing a song and then make sure that the others around them are familiar. But we don't have to hit the nail on the head with the theme with every song. But we do want the worship set to flow. And we want people to be able to follow along on that journey. And if we shoehorn songs in there, it's going to feel like a pothole for people in our congregation who are unfamiliar with a song. Next, guard the theology. The lyrics must be true and match the day's message. We talked about that a little bit in the last video, but it is crucial that we're always thinking, am I staying true to Scripture? Does this fit with the theology that our church preaches and teaches? Next, this might be the most important thing, but keep Jesus central. Make Christ explicit, not assumed. We are here to celebrate the work of Jesus and the person of Jesus that has given us access to the Father. Make him known. Use his name liberally when you plan worship sets. And then plan smooth transitions. Make sure to think about tempos, intros, and outros. Think about the instrumentation. Think about the ways that you're going to have spoken transitions connect one song to the next, or even one part of a song to the next part of a song that would encourage people to think and connect to the theme as well. But transitions are incredibly important in creating this one cohesive unit that we call a worship set. Next, use dynamics and space. Not every second needs to have sound planned. Let truth breathe. Give people the opportunity to think, as the Psalms say, to Selah, to breathe, and to commune with God themselves in some of those more quiet moments that might be underscored by an instrument, but that also might just be silent. Engage the senses. You want to even think through, what are the visuals that we're putting on the screen? What kind of scriptures are going on the screen? Maybe we could guide people's posture. Maybe we would encourage people to kneel or to raise their hands or to shout. And then also maybe even to be silent. Now, silence can be difficult sometimes because people just aren't used to it in our culture. But if it's well placed and it's intentional, and if it's even maybe a little bit explained, it can be a very powerful element in a service. Time things honestly. We want to protect the message window. We don't want to force our pastor to have to cut his message short. So be honest about the amount of time that a set is going to take. A lot of the songs that we have in our repertoire have versions that go 8, 9, some of them 10 minutes long. Think through, let's whittle this down to like a 5-minute version of this song. Or, if you don't want to do that, make sure that you're taking a song out that you normally would plan. Okay? Next, consider song frequency. Our goal is to sing established songs no more than every 3 to 4 weeks. So when you're planning a worship set, generally the songs that are the previous weeks to the week that you're planning will have songs in there. Check the last 3 or 4 weeks to see if any of the songs that you've chosen are planned in those weeks. And if they are, you might want to reconsider some of the songs. You might want to reconsider the duplicates that you've planned and try to substitute another song in there, because those plans have already been vetted and confirmed. So as you're planning, think through that. If there are songs that are planned after your week, you can also reference those as well, but generally that's not the case. Account for volunteers. You want to, if you have volunteers already scheduled for the plan that you are planning, think about who those volunteers are. What's their skill level? Is there a special auxiliary instrument like a trumpet or a cello or an Irish whistle that you would want to think, hey, we might not normally sing this song, but it has this part in it that would sound really good with a particular instrument. And that would be an opportunity to utilize that song in a very creative and fresh way. You might also think the same thing of a vocalist. If there's a particular vocalist who's scheduled for the week that you're planning, and there's a particular song that you could just hear them singing, consider that as you plan. On the opposite side of those things, you might want to make sure that you're planning songs and choosing songs that are accessible to the bulk of the people who are on our worship team. If there's a song by somebody who has just this incredible range and a killer, it's 2 or 3 octaves, that might not be a great choice for people who aren't professional musicians on our team. And then finally, again, this might be one of the most important things that we value as a church in terms of worship planning, is we want to always get to the 5. We have a worship planning philosophy that's called 1 to 5, where we categorize our songs according to 1's are gathering songs, 2 are thanksgiving songs, 3's are testimony songs, 4's are gospel or purification songs, and 5's are ascriptive songs. And one of the hallmarks of our worship sets is that we always want to get to those songs that provide the congregation with a sustained time of ascription to the Lord, where metaphorically we are in the Holy of Holies. We're not thinking about ourselves, but we are completely focused on who God is, His majesty, His excellence, His worth, His glory, because that puts all of the other things in our lives into the proper perspective. And we want to make sure that we're giving our people the opportunity when they come here every week to have their circumstances, their life circumstances, put into perspective by a God who cares for them, who loves them, and who is strong and able to care for them in the midst of their circumstances. We always want to get to the 5. Now, that 1 to 5 approach is also in your packet, and you can take a look at that as well. So that's part A, and part B of our worship planning step-by-step guide, and part B that we've just covered is the guiding principles and tips for effectiveness. You should be well on your way to being able to plan services here at Mission Church that will impact people's lives and help them to passionately worship our great God.